Hi, this is Paranormal Encounters, and I'm your host, Brenda McGee. Today, I have two of my very special people that are on the S&E Paranormal team, the Blessing team, Steve and Tom. How you guys doing?
Hi, folks.
That's Steve. Introduce yourself.
I'm Steve McLaughlin.
I'm Tom McLaughlin.
We're related.
DNA's not in yet.
And together we're S&E Paranormal team. We're the spiritual warriors. We have a team, and then we have a separate team, which is doing blessings, things like that.
Yep.
And the reason why we wanted to do the show today is because of a case that we just had, where we like to tell the difference that this person was going in to do a blessing. They were supposed to do a blessing. I talked to the person beforehand, and I felt there was a demonic presence there, that they shouldn't have gone in there, but they was assured that they thought that they could do something like this. On the interim, what happened was after they had done the so-called clearing blessing, they were supposed to be doing a blessing, a couple of days things were a little dormant, which we know. Mm-hmm. Demonic entities like to make you think that you've done what you were supposed to do.
Yep.
All of a sudden, I'm going to put it in plain English, all hell broke loose, and these entities were attacking them. I got a call because the person was leaving and was asking if I could look into that because they didn't know what more they could do because everything was totally reversed what was supposed to be done. And while I connected with this person, she had told me what was going on, so I reached out to you guys, which that's our process. I give the address, the name of the people in the homes, and you start the prayers. What had happened, because they couldn't understand what they had done wrong, when I had gone there to do a blessing, they had gone in and used a spirit box, which there's a difference between a paranormal investigation, a clearing, and a blessing.
Yes.
When you're doing a blessing, none of this is used because this can open up portals.
Mm-hmm. Which allows more of them to come in.
Yes.
Right. So what happened was they were using a spirit box, and it's pretty much summoning. So the demonic entity that was already there, they called in the friends. Yep. And the night before, I saw, and I kept hearing the word Legion, so I knew what was happening there. Yep. Do you guys want to tell them the difference between, like, what, you know what I mean? Like, why with demonic entities, it has to be so specific? And you guys explain the process that goes into a blessing.
Demons are like lawyers. They only do specific things. You tell them specific things, that's all they're going to do. You say, I bind you and cast you out, they can go to the next room.
Right.
You have to tell them specifically what to do, or they're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And if you cast one out and it's still open, they're going to bring more friends, at least 7 more with them. And they are deceitful, they're incredibly powerful, and they can mess you up psychologically, spiritually, and physically. If you don't know what you're doing, you can make these a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I don't know how to add to that, but it's true. There's a difference between a blessing, a deliverance, or a cleaning, or just an investigation. An investigation, we go in with all the electronic stuff, and is there anything there?
Right.
And if there's something there, the blessing blesses the home and the people in it, and the animals in it, and the clearing is a deliverance sort of thing where you remove the demons.
Right.
And if you bring that to a blessing or a deliverance, you just ask, it's just like opening the door and
inviting his friends in.
And hey, come on in, guys. There's a party down here, or whatever. Yeah.
And I have to tell you that had happened a few weeks ago, and I'm still dealing with them because it turned their life upside down.
Yes.
The male that was living in the home was wheelchair bound. He had to leave the home because he was borderline possessed.
Yes.
His voice changed. She didn't even tell him that I was talking to her, and he said my name. And the person did not know my name, and his voice changed. And I said to her, "You need to remove him from that house," and then he started crying, which he doesn't do, and he was removed. So he was hospitalized because he was sick and everything.
Yes.
But he needed to be removed from there because there was so much activity that it was reaping havoc on them. I have to say, it was relentless. So we went, I shouldn't say we, I went and I did the blessing with how we do with the prayers and everything like that. You guys were doing the prayers. I had brought someone with me because you're never supposed to do it alone.
Yep.
Things were missed. So this is why there was no way that those demonic entities, they weren't being left out. They were still openings because things were missed. This is the difference with our team. I will know what's there. We'll all dream, get visions and things like that. And it's weird because we won't tell each other, and then we'll say, well, what did you get before we get here? But then we have the blessings part. We prepared days before, and we already start the blessings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Steve does the verbal part of it, where he does the blessings. Tom, you do the same thing. What happens is the demonic entities try to stop Steve from talking. That's when you and I bind our energies together.
Yes.
Psychically, I'll feel what the demonic entity is feeling, and I'll know, okay, keep going with the prayers, but they also like to make us not realize that we're forgetting to do certain objects or things like that.
That's why the number 3 is a perfect amount.
Right.
Yeah.
We can have more. Less is not usually very good. Although
Right.
we can be assisting in a blessing even from a distance.
Right.
Because spiritually, time and distance doesn't make any difference.
Yes, and we just all pretty much, hold space, and we're doing it. We don't even have to go to a lot of places now. We do them remotely.
Yes.
Yes.
But also, what I wanted to bring up was the difference is we've taken spiritual warfare classes
Yep.
from a Catholic priest. Steve and I, and you through your church also, we took a class with Father Bob Bailey. He taught us how to do spiritual warfare, which was okay through his church. He went through all of that. Mm-hmm. Steve, your church gave you the churches.
Yes.
They all give us the supplies that we need to do these blessings.
Yes.
That's what makes us different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I always tell people, if you're going to tell someone to come in and clear or whatever, you need to know what you're getting yourself into. There's repercussions for everything.
Yes.
And usually I will get psychically attacked for a few days, and they'll just come in my dreams and mess with me. It doesn't bother me. Steve, unfortunately, most of the time is either physically, mentally. Tom, you get those too?
I get all that.
Yeah. And because, and I'm going to own this too, I felt like this was an emergency. Usually I will not do this without either one of you or both of you or three of us. But I thought it was an emergency and I did it. Well, I had repercussions for it.
Yep.
Health-wise, work-wise,
Yep.
a whole bunch. So I always tell people there's repercussions for this. It's not like, that demon knows you. And yes, you do get rid of them, but they can reap havoc.
If there's a set way to do this,
Right.
and if the homeowner or the person having this attack at their place where they are doesn't follow the suggestions we give them, which are pretty much a must, you must do this
Right.
to maintain the clean. If they don't do that, it can not only attack them, but we can have physical and mental and
Right.
emotional
Yes.
havoc reaped upon us. Because the demons are pretty mad that we're even there to begin, or even thinking of going there,
They get
let alone
furious.
being there when we get there. They don't like it.
And a lot of people don't even believe in demonic entities.
They believe
and you
in
know
you.
why? You know what it is though? But what happens is because they feel if they've never experienced it or whatever. The worst part about it in this whole situation is they dropped these people and just made. I've done where there's a lot of professional ones that have TV shows.
Yep.
Where we've had to go and clean up their mess because
Yes.
they've gone in there, riled these spirits up and
Yep.
reaped havoc, and they don't care. With this last case that we had, it was like, can you see what you can do for this? And I had to take over. So as we know, if somebody else has already had their hand in it, usually we're saying, no, you started it. We're not going to take on what somebody else did. But because this was such an intense thing that happened, we did that out of the kindness of our heart. But we'll even say, if you're going to reverse what we did, we're not even going to do it
Yes.
because we're going to have to suffer for it.
But that's the person we're doing, whoever we're working with, at whatever their home, they get stuff to do too.
Right.
It's
And
not just
now,
us.
because it was so bad, they're still living in fear.
Yes.
And I'm telling them everything's fine and all, but they were so traumatized by all of this that happened because the people went in because they knew about the paranormal and thought they knew, even though I had told them that they were out of their league, that they really shouldn't be doing this, but they did not listen. I had already said what was going on there.
Yep.
And I wasn't saying it because you know what I mean? If you think you got that, good luck. But it turned into our problem, and I'm still being, bombarded with this.
Before we start a blessing, if you want to look at military terms in a battle or a war, you have to set up a perimeter. And then you have to cut off communications. So the demons will communicate with other demons, and that enhances their power. And they don't want to leave because something's forcing them to stay there. If you set up a perimeter, you ask that any communication be stopped or any assistance stopped, that demon's alone, he can leave, because when we get there, they don't want to stay.
Right.
They don't want to be there when we get
No.
there. It's very painful for them, psychologically, physically. They just want to get out.
Right.
Another demon will hold them in place. That's a higher, more powerful demon. Say, you're not leaving.
Right.
So perimeter, get rid of it, and then you can deal with that one.
And that's why we do the prayers first. Because
Yes.
then we see if we get any lashback.
Yes, exactly.
Then we
Yep.
know what we're dealing with.
I can tell when I'm praying for someone, I can feel what's going on.
Right.
And then we can discuss between
Yeah.
us. And
Exactly.
the best avenue to approach. But it's pretty much prayer and the blessings with certain religious medals that we have, and
Right.
holy water and
And then it comes down to authority.
authority, yes.
We're given the authority to do this on acting on God's behalf to help people.
Right.
If you're not called to do that and you go in there alone, you can get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
Yes.
And people will say, can you just give me the prayers of how you do things and all? I say, no. You take a spiritual warfare class.
Yeah.
That's why every single one of the people that are on our team took that class.
Yep.
It was a whole day of seeing things and videos and learning from, Father Bob. And it's not this whole thing where, it's fun, because it's not. No. I know the limitations, because I'll say, I don't have the energy for this, or I'm sick. I can't do this because I will.
That's a direct attack, the mnemonic.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like we know our limitations. We know, okay, you know what? We're not 100%. We're going to have to wait on the blessing, and then we'll regroup or whatever. So that you have to know your limitations.
You have to know that this spiritual world is as real as this physical world.
Absolutely.
But the spiritual world is more harmful,
Yeah.
if you allow it to be, than the physical world.
Right.
Yes. A lot of it is psychological damage, because when they act upon your brain and your thinking, they can mess up your thinking.
Yes.
And then when
And
you
they
do a
do.
blessing,
We were just discussing that today with what I'm going through, certain things that in my life that I'm looking at, I'm going, oh, I got to pay more attention here.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And we get weird things that happen and
Yeah.
stuff, but we just have faith, like, you know what? It's not going to affect me in any way. And we're doing God's work, so we know He's got our back, and we don't have to, And it's just, I wanted to do this. I'm not calling anybody out because I'm not naming them.
Yeah.
But I feel like people need to know their limitations and not do something. Please just think of the people that are going to be affected by it, not by putting something on your spiritual resume that you did this or did that, because it can kill people.
Yes.
That
It
poor
can
guy
cost,
was
yes.
in the hospital and then had to go to a rehab place.
Yep.
for over a week.
Yep.
And he was having all of these things. And then, you know, because he was out of the home, Steve had to do it over the phone, and everything was fine after you spoke and did what needed to be done
Yep.
over the phone. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Is because we feel, you know, we said from day one, nah, we're not going to get involved with this stuff. But sometimes when you're put into it, we've never questioned it. We've just kept,
No.
okay.
We're
this
always guided through what's happening.
Yeah. And
That's the difference.
yeah.
Is we're in communication with God. He tells us what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
Yes.
So we're not depending upon ourselves or depending upon Him. Where if you're not authorized to do it, you don't have that connection. You're at the bay at.
The
they can
evil
act
one
upon you.
loves ego, pride, and arrogance. That's what caused him to leave
Yeah.
the good place upstairs.
Right.
Ego, pride, and arrogance. If you think you know it,
I actually
you-
quoted that the other day. Remember, the devil was once an angel.
yes,
Amen.
he
So
isn't.
be careful.
Not once. Me and Steve had this discussion today too. They're still angels,
Right.
And they can appear to you as a being of light because they are a being of light.
Right.
They chose to be a being of darkness of their own free
Right.
will. They will not serve.
Yeah.
And
Which
if you're
is-
going to mess with an angel, they're pretty.
Which is when it comes with the spirit boxes, because a demon can pretend to be the person you're trying to
Yes.
contact.
Right, but
And you
not
open the
only
door.
that, think about it. You're scanning channels and you're saying, if there's anyone here, do
Yes.
you want to speak with us?
Yep.
That's an invitation.
That's an invitation.
That's an
And that's why I
opening the door,
said,
yep.
with an investigation, you use your equipment. Even if you're going to clear energy, say there was arguing or anything like that,
Yeah.
and you know it's just energy that needs to be cleared, you could use this absolutely. But if you know you're going in there to do a blessing, no equipment should ever be used.
Yes.
Because once things are summoned or opened, you're in a heap of trouble.
When you open that door, you better have someone around that knows how to help you close it.
Right.
And if you open that door and you don't have anyone around, that's when you get things like the guy being in the hospital and all that
Yeah.
stuff. You're playing
it
with
was-
fire.
They can affect
was
your work,
horrible.
your life, your personal relationships. They can affect everything.
And they do.
And they do.
And
Yeah.
they do already. But when you invite them to even have more come in, that's what happens. Steve was talking about 7 more show up. It's a party.
It really
And
is.
you're the house.
And because also when they were doing it, like, and when I went in to do the blessing, there were windows that were missed. There were mirrors that weren't
Yep.
seen.
All avenues.
There was crawl space that wasn't blessed. We're so guided that even when we don't see something, I'll say, oh, you have a mirror in such and such a place. And they'll say, no. And I'll say, oh, yeah. And they'll
Yeah.
go and they'll be like, oh,
Yes.
I didn't know about that. I said, you know. So
Yeah.
it's that easy. If you miss a window, if you miss a mirror, if you miss anything, they're already accessed back in. They didn't go anywhere.
Yep.
And they stay quiet. They're smart.
They will endure the pain of
Yes, they will.
Because when we bless it, even most of it, there's a tremendous pain for them to be there, the demons.
Right.
Or whatever entities.
Yeah.
And then we're not talking about human spirits. We're talking about the evil one spirits.
Right.
That's the angels you were talking about.
And
They
it's-
don't have to abide by.
And that's
And they
why,
don't.
you know,
And they
yeah,
don't.
and that's why I wanted to do the show. Like I said, I'm not naming names or anything like that, but I just want them to be responsible
Yes.
and know that, listen, it's a learning process, but don't start learning with demonic entities
Yes.
and blessings when you know what's already there. And the worst part about it is they were saying, you know, my guy remote reviewed. Do I look like a guy? They didn't even want to say my name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, my guy already knew what was in here.
Yeah.
Well, if you were telling them that you were already told what was in there, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I told you you were way out of, you shouldn't even be going in there.
If I can get biblical for a second.
Be my guest. I'll
right.
straighten you out if you get it wrong.
As long as you don't
The
start talking in
apostles
tongues.
would do deliverances and cast out demons on the power of Jesus. And the demons realized that authority, and they obeyed the authority.
Yes.
Another person came without the authority and tried to get rid of the demon in Jesus' name, and it said, I know Jesus. I recognize Paul. Who are you? And it beat this person
Yes.
almost to death.
Yes.
There's a difference if you have authority and no authority. Because they know and they recognize it.
Right. Yeah, and they know. Like, they know before we even are going there.
Yes.
They already know. Like I said, the person that was in the home and she was talking with me, they had no idea that she was on the phone with me, and the entity that was in him said my name. You better stop telling Brenda what's going on, or else it'll get even worse. That's what was said.
Yes.
I heard it because they were talking to that person. And that's when I said, you need to remove him because, you know, he was in a wheelchair and all. I said, because he's being targeted.
Yep.
And you need to remove him. And it was so crazy the way that, you know, demonic entities change words and things, where she called and said, because he was actually choking. So this was it, trying to make him stop talking so he couldn't give me more
They
information.
can do that. Yep.
So she called
And they do.
911 and said that he's choking, he needs to go to the hospital. Police officers showed up and said, oh, we got a call of a domestic dispute that someone was choking the other one. So they were coming to, not an ambulance to bring him out of there, to keep them there. And I
They
said,
can affect communication that way. Yes, they
and
can.
they did. And they did, and she was like, oh my gosh. I said, and it's just crazy.
It's not something you played around with.
No.
When we go and do a blessing, your house is clear. But you got to keep it that way. You're obligated, if it's your house and you're the owner, you're obligated to follow certain procedures to keep it that way.
Right.
Not only for yourself, but for your home and whoever comes into the home.
Right.
You need to, like...
And now, because we've done it so much, we pretty much know when we make that first communication, we already know what's going on.
Yep.
Psychically, I remote review, which psychically I go there in a meditative state.
Yep.
I see what's going on there, and we determine, okay, we need to do this way or we need to do this way. That's the process.
We can do that from a distance.
Absolutely.
Steve was talking about that.
And
But
we've
there's
done in different states.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
We've done in different states.
Yep.
I mean, even people that I deal with on a daily basis, do you know how many people have had generational curses put on them?
Yes.
A lot of it is, yeah.
The evil want to follow a family line.
Yes.
All
Because
for centuries.
somebody cursed them.
For centuries back.
Yeah.
Curses don't...
And
I
it's-
don't curse anybody. I don't say damn you or any of that to anyone because
Words
there's
are
something
power.
listening. Now, if you say I bless you, there's something good listening. That person will
Right.
take a blessing. But the opposite is true too.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
don't play that. That's just
No,
I don't.
and that's what I tell people. Be careful what you say.
You have to be
So
very
I gave her the
careful.
prayer
Yes.
that was given to us. They did the prayer. They felt like this release, and
Yes,
all
and
of
there
a
is a
sudden,
release.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
they felt it right away. And
Yes.
even before we do the blessings,
Yes.
we make them do that prayer.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot of times, that's
Boom,
it.
that because they're taking control and
Yeah,
ownership
exactly,
of their own
yes.
body or their own home.
They
And
only
that-
have the power you give them.
Yes.
And that's what I say. If that prayer doesn't work, then there's something.
We may have to come in.
Yeah, we're going to
physically.
have to come
Yes.
in because we need to talk with them a little bit more. What's going on? And, you know, we've got to address that. But with what we've been doing, a lot of our cases, we don't even have to physically do it there. We can do remote blessings.
Yeah, we can just
Satan
let them
It's
don't
know.
play.
just as strong.
Yes, it is.
It's just
Because
as
the
strong.
time and distance means nothing spiritually. Time and distance means something here,
Right.
but spiritually it doesn't.
Yeah,
Because
angels
you're
can
in-
affect an area psychically without
Yes.
being there. We can do the
Yes.
same thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were blessed with that also.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
But
like-
it took some fits and starts. I made a few mistakes along the way.
Yeah, well, actually, we
Yeah, we
had
did.
to learn about.
yeah.
I always tell people, listen,
Took a few
I'm not
beatings.
telling.
Yeah,
I'm not
it did.
telling you something I have not experienced.
Yeah, we've taken a few beatings ourselves.
Unfortunately, we've had to experience all of these things.
Which is why we had to do the training, Brenda.
Yes.
We had to. You can't go into this thinking, whoop-de-doo, I'm Superman. It's not.
Right.
I've almost been killed.
Paranormal investigating, absolutely. You can go in there, do whatever
Yeah.
you want, but there's a difference.
When we investigate, we don't rile these. I see on TV, and I can't even watch them shows.
Provoke.
What's in here?
Yeah.
Show me. I'm like, oh, just don't do that.
Yeah. They
Don't do
rile
that.
them up, they get them mad.
Oh
And,
my goodness.
Then they leave and
gracious.
take stuff with them
Yeah.
Right.
because they don't close or open properly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I investigated the Lizzie Borden house, and I was with a group of people, and this person was like really bad mouthing Mr. Borden, and I've seen
do
Mr.
that.
Borden in spirit coming, and I'm just like, I'm just going to sit here and watch.
Watch what happens.
All of a sudden, physically, this man was hit across the face and fell right to the floor, and I just went, keep talking about him.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it's just they can be that way because if they choose to be violent,
Now,
they
that's a
will
human
be
spirit. Imagine when you crank some angel's chain.
right. And
And they're the
that's what I'm
demons
saying.
and
And
angel.
this
We
is
set it up,
why I wanted to, bring us together and just be like, hey, listen, we need to talk about this.
Yep.
We're not bashing anybody. We just want them to be like, listen, if it's beyond your control, don't be afraid to either get
Ask for
guidance
help.
or ask for help.
Yes.
Yes.
Or even the people that are experiencing this, ask questions. What makes you know how to do this?
Yep.
People that are going to invite people, you should ask them, what makes you able to do this blessing and
Yep.
why? You have to tell them, not
What
because
formats do you follow? There's different formats.
there is, but a lot of people, like I said, a lot of paranormal teams, there's not many like us because
A lot of them don't
we
do the
know how to
blessing.
do
Yeah.
the blessings.
Yeah, they don't.
No,
yeah,
they
don't know how to
But
fix
that's
it.
the difference. They,
They
have
can't
to
fix it, and we know how to fix it.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
And they can want to stir stuff up and leave.
And then it makes it 10 times worse for
Yeah.
wherever
It
they
does.
were.
It-
Then the people
it's-
living there got to deal with it.
Right.
Yes.
And then it's
And then
not
they,
fair.
they aren't,
No, it's
they're
not.
I always tell
unqualified. They're
them,
not
think
qualified.
about the people that you're going in.
Yeah.
Think about them.
Yep.
If you're doing something that you're not 100%, they're going to suffer for
They're
it.
the ones who are going to pay a price, yes.
Or
And Go ahead, no.
if the spirit's stuck, then we can help it cross over to
Yes.
get to.
Right. And that's what we do also. We go in and we not only help the people there, we help the spirits.
Yes.
Yep.
They could be stuck. We
Yep.
need to cross them over. That's what we do.
They wouldn't even realize they're deceased.
Right.
Yeah.
So, guess what?
We can help them get to
Oh,
the
wow.
promised
We're running
land.
out of time.
Oh,
Any last words?
Be careful.
Yeah.
just because everyone knows how to drive a car doesn't mean everyone should have the keys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just ask someone that actually knows and qualify them. What's your qualifications? How do you know how to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
And if anybody has anything, a case or anything like that they need help with, they can email me at paranormalencounterstv9@gmail.com. And thanks everyone for watching, and thanks Tom and Steve for being here with me
for
today.
having us.
Thank you, Brenda.
All right.